Northeast Tonight, brought to you by Oil India Limited, conquering newer horizons.
Hello and welcome to Northeast Tonight, the show that decodes the region. Suddenly, viewers, another state in the Northeast has come under the purview of the inner line regulations, and that is Manipur. Meghalaya too is on way to coming under the ILP umbrella. In Assam too, the demand for inner line permit is gaining grounds, with organizations like the All Assam Students Union starting to press for it. Until Manipur got ILP, 3 states in the region had this system in accordance with the provisions of the Bengal Eastern Frontier Regulations, the 3 states being Arunachal Pradesh, Mizoram and Nagaland. Now, ILP restricts people from easily visiting such states, prohibits them from buying land in such places and settling down, restricts outsiders from carrying out trade and business freely, and so on. While states in the Northeast have always harbored a threat to the indigenous life and culture and have therefore backed a system like the inner line permit that restricts free and unhindered movement of people, there are others who feel that such restrictions would keep the region backward economically and retard the gains that the 8 states could hope to achieve through the actist policy. To understand the impact of more states in the Northeast coming under the ILP cover, I have with me Mr. Ishantar Sabhapandit, Regional Director of the Indian Chamber of Commerce, Dr. Sriparna Barua, Head of the Center for Industrial Extension at the Indian Institute for Entrepreneurship, Mr. R.S. Joshi, an industry expert and former chairman of the FINA, Federation of Industries in Northeastern Region, and from Imphal, I am joined by Mr. Khuraiza Mathoba, the Secretary General of United Committee Manipur, one of the leading civil society groups in the state. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Northeast Tonight. I'd like to go to you first, Mr. Khuraiza Mathoba in Imphal, the General Secretary, the Secretary General of the United Committee Manipur. Khuraiza, we all know that the Northeast people are generally worried about the threat to the indigenous culture, indigenous life of the people, indigenous way of life to the indigenous people in general. That is one threat. Therefore, people ask for constitutional safeguards and other protective measures. On the other hand, we all know that the Northeast is economically backward, and therefore there has been various steps by the central government, and now, of course, latest mega push being the actist policy. Now, how do you think, Manipur is the latest entrant under the inner line permit system? Don't you think it is contradictory? On way, yes, we all agree that indigenous people have to be protected. We also want development. Now, what is your stand on this? How do you look at this issue?
Wasbir, first of all, I think extension of ILP is important in the state of Manipur because every one of us know that we already had an overwhelmed, influx migrants in our state. That is not just from, interstate migrants, but also from neighboring countries which have entered to the state illegally, and they have settled here already. So we need to regulate. Our intention of, our objective of being, accepting ILP is of 2 points. One, because of the extension of ILP in Manipur, the imposition of Citizenship Amendment Act is out of the purview. Number 2 point is this regulation will definitely identify all the non-locals, and we will be able to regulate them so that we don't have a permanent threat to the indigenous people of the state.
What about trade and business? What about trade and business, trade and commerce and development? What about that? How is it going to be impacted?
See, yeah, of course, we do understand that, remaining in isolation, we will not be able to, move forward economically, and development will be hindered. We do understand that also. But I think extension of ILP don't give any restrictions to, to the, coming and going out of the state and doing business. We don't find any restriction in, in any of the provisions in the regulation. What has been especially, concern is that they should not have a permanent, settlement here. They should not have any political power here.
I'll come back to
that's
you.
the only.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You have made some important points. You said that this is going to be useful for the protection of the indigenous people or the local people. At the same time, you don't think that it is going to restrict in that much. So you are not really very worried about the impact of ILP on trade and commerce. I'll come and so that you can elaborate, Mr. R.S. Joshi. As someone who has been dealing with the trade and industry, who has been closely associated with the trade and industry in the northeastern region for such a long time, how do you look at it? On one side, you know very well how the people are absolutely emotional, sensitive to the issue of protection of the indigenous culture, life, and indigenous way of life and culture, language, etc. On the other side, we are a landlocked state. We are absolutely, entire northeastern region is landlocked, and there is development is very, very hindered here. So how do you see the two things merging, or do you think it is absolutely contradictory to each other?
See, very difficult situation as such. So in these circumstances, we need to take a very balancing view. While we must respect the local sentiments, and they have a very, very genuine point in having some kind of restrictions. But on the other hand, we have to see the development aspects as well. See, the things have changed so drastically world over. People are thinking globally. So we may not be thinking that at that level, but we must give local sentiments due weightage, and then have the policy. I would suggest the civil society must discuss the issue without being biased in the current scenario, how we can go along while protecting. Another thing I would like to say, without having the ILP in the mode we have been suggesting, we can very well protect the local language, local culture, local sentiments, and etc. etc. See, nobody.
But I want a clear answer before we go into details. Let's have the opening remark from the other two panelists. Do you think ILP is definitely going to have an adverse impact on trade and business?
Yes, adverse impact on trade and business, and particularly in the tourism as well.
Tourism. Okay, we'll expand and develop on that. Shiparna Barua, what has been your experience? What is your thought? You must have applied your mind to when more states are coming. See, now only 3 states were under the ambit of the inner line permit. Now Manipur is one that has come lately, and Meghalaya assembly has already passed a resolution pressing for inner line permit. Assam also demand is picking up. That means at some point the entire northeast may come under the umbrella of the inner line permit. So do you think that is going to impact, or if so, in what way?
See, if I look at it like this, if it was maybe even 6 months ahead, I would have said we do not want an inner line permit. But looking at what has happened and what is likely to happen once we implement the Citizenship Amendment Act, I don't think we can afford a situation like that. So in that context, yes, we have no other alternative but to go in for inner line permit.
Okay.
Because that's what my personal view is.
That is for the protection of the people, the land, the race, the language, the culture. What about business, trade and commerce?
Business, of course. I don't think Arunachal has always been having ILP, but that restrict actually tourists coming down. Because Northeast for a long time was known for all the violence, etc. Now that mindset has already changed in mainland India. People have started looking at one of the destinations to come forward, to come and visit Northeast. So I think that fear is that inhibition is no longer there. There is an awareness about the beauty of Northeast, about the tourist potential of Northeast.
That's fine. But do you also think that it's going to impact? If if a tourist has to come to India, you take a visa. Then from India also you don't know where to get the inner land permit. Who wants to come to a region?
You look at the cost and the benefit of the situation. If you implement the CAA, the amount of you know, what is going to impact, I mean, the violence which is going to happen here. We've seen what had happened in December. We can't be we cannot
let's go to trade and commerce. Do you think ILP is going to impact on trade and commerce or not?
It's to some extent, yes. But I don't think it's going to be data deterrent.
Okay. To some extent, yes, it's not going to be data deterrent. Now, Mr. Ishantar Sabha Pandit, now you see, already several countries have given advisories. That was, of course, because of a different situation, that is creating out of the agitation over the Citizenship Amendment Act. That's one issue. Second issue is, for whatever reasons, lot more states are coming under the cover of the inner line permit now, right. Manipur being the latest, as I have already said. Right. Now, how is it going to impact? Now, you see, particularly people in the trade and business, they are very busy people, the big investors. They want to come as a easy movement, come, go, Absolutely. And set up shop. If you have restrictions, more restrictions and travel restrictions, right. that causes a serious hindrance. Right. Now, have you sort of, have you studied this situation, and do you have any figures to suggest some of these impact?
Look, there's something very interesting that I'll just take an example of sometime in 2000, when there's 32/99 and 33/99 Excise Exemption Act which has come. Then many companies has come. I was with ITC at that point of time. ITC overnight has set up around 9 factories. Just after a year, when the notification was withdrawn, all the factories has left. The reason is, first we need to have the atmosphere of the industry where it has started but closed up. But the point is, the companies, they want maybe the investors want an environment where they can come easily, they can talk to people easily, and there is a security to life of the people. And more importantly, back of the mind, there are certain hiccups which are still there in the mind of the people. With this sort of ILP, there is a figure of around 50,000 odd crores, which is supposed to be invested in Assam during this year, and maybe in the coming 1 or 2 years.
Today, this morning's newspapers says that the Industry Minister Chandramohan Patwari has said that agitation, he has of course nothing to do with ILP, right. That's a slightly different issue. He said that because of the agitation and so on, a lot of investors have decided to cancel their investment proposals for Assam. So that is what he has claimed. Yeah. This is a claim that made by the Industry Minister.
There will be a direct impact on these investors, because it's very important that not only the industrialists, the employees who are supposed to come here. Suppose there is a industry is set up in maybe in Lakhimpur. There are technical requirements of the industrialists, the employees, or the people who need to travel overnight. So how they will be able to come? There are certain emergency needs where people need to come maybe in 2 hours notice. So
these are some of the issues. As someone dealing with trade and industry, these are some of the genuine concerns. Now my question to you, Khuraiza Mathoba, as someone who has been in the forefront of the agitations for protection of indigenous people in Manipur, pressing for the rights of the indigenous people in Manipur, I am asking you this question. Do you think, now that inner line permit has already come to Manipur, every time somebody from outside wants to come, that person has to take an inner line permit. Now, are you in favor, or will you be in favor for smooth conduct of trade and business for serious businessmen? I'm not talking about fly-by-night operators. I'm talking about serious businessmen. Is it necessary to give them some kind of a long-term, inner line permit, so that, they don't have to stand in the queue, they don't have to apply for these kind of things again and again? Do you think some kind of an arrangement needs to be done so that people can have the inner line permit? It is fixed for 6 months, 1 year, something like that, and some mechanism. I'm just saying off the cuff. Do you think that is a good idea, so that people don't hesitate to come to a state which is covered? I'm not only talking about Manipur. I'm asking your opinion about all the states under the inner line regime.
Yeah, actually, if you go through the gazette notification of Manipur government regarding the guidelines of the ILP, I think there is a special permit system. There are 3-4 types of permit system.
Right.
One is the regular one, that is a temporary, that is for 15 days. regular is for around, I think, 3 or 6 months. And there is also another special permit system, which will be applied for some longer period of time. So I think there won't be much problem for the frequent travelers who will be coming for business perspective. Even there are many multinational companies who are traveling abroad from time to time, but I don't think they have been exempted from visa process. They have to go through that. It's quite similar with that.
It creates lot of harassment for the visitors. For example, when you go to Mizoram, you land. You see, that infrastructure is just not there. You have to apply to the resident commissioner in the respective town. Suppose somebody wants to go directly from Dibrugarh, that person has to take a permit from Mizoram, from Guwahati. Or if you don't take the permit, you land in the airport, then you stand for 1 hour to get the inner line permit. These are the issues. Suppose somebody wants to come for trade and business through Tamu, the border hut, what is going to happen to them in the border? All these mechanisms have to be placed. So it creates a lot of hassles, isn't it? Khuraizam.
Yeah, no, all those technicalities can be regulated or can be modified as per the local requirements, and that has been already being empowered to the state government. The state government can do it very conveniently. It's up to the state government to make it convenient, to make it visitors friendly. And our intention of imposing ILP is not to threaten to the visitors. Our intention is just to regulate them, to identify them, to register them, so that they don't become permanent settlers and they don't put hands in our political and cultural aspects. So it's just for that, nothing much.
Now let me come to you, Mr. R.S. Joshi. You for a long time you were at FINA, one of the frontline trade and industry body in the northeastern region, apart from others, of course. Now my question is, you must have facilitated a lot of industries setting up. Must have facilitated setting up a lot of industries, and you have a first-hand experience. My question to you, when you have, suppose you have inner line permit tomorrow in Assam, what are some of the difficulties for people who will come and open shop or set up an industry in the state? Because now all the unskilled laborers or unskilled workforce will be from the local people, and some of the skilled people. So what could be some of the difficulties, because this has two aspects. One, there is no doubt that the indigenous people, local people, we have to deal with the threat, and the threat is genuine. Let us put it on record. The threat to the demography, the migration, the illegal migration and all has always posed a threat to Assam and the rest of the Northeast. There is no two opinion about that. That is one side. So therefore the government and the people are demanding protection. The government is also coming up with several sets of protection. The people are also demanding. But on the other hand, we have to keep pace with development, progress, growth. And as they say, without a market, a race or a community cannot flourish. There has to be a bazaar for a community. How do you balance these two? What are some of the difficulties that may emerge?
See, we have to differentiate between the people who come from across the border and who come for trade and business from the mainland. So that is, see, the demographic changes, etc., have taken place, or the onslaught on culture, etc., is not from the mainland. And see, the number of people who come for business or as an investor or from as an industry part, they are in a very, very minuscule minority. So they don't pose any sort of threat to the local traditions, etc. Their purpose is to do business, and they are not politically involved, they are not here. So we have to treat them differently. See, another thing, when the other states of the country, they are just giving the red carpet welcome to them. To come to this part, we had some policy by central government. By virtue of that, they used to be attracted. Now that policy is not there, and then this is a psychological sort of thing, and it's not for the mainland. Even we, the people of Northeast, we become a force to reckon with when we come together. Now the existing ILP system, person from Assam cannot easily visit the Nagaland or the Mizoram or here. So until unless we have the free movement of goods and services within the region to start with, see, we have been giving our voice, we are one. So when it comes to ILP, why not we have the one in letter and spirit, let it be started from here, and then we can have enough check and balance.
This raises the question. Athoba, I'm coming to you on this. Let me take the views of two other panelists in the studio. Sriparna Barua, do you think, when we say that the Northeast is one, we should speak on one voice. Now the question is, Sriparna, do you think people from the northeastern region should be exempted from the ILP while moving within the northeastern region? Is that a good idea?
I think that's a very good idea. I think that's a very good idea because we are talking about
within the SAARC countries.
Yes,
Why can't there be?
That's an excellent idea. I think that's an excellent idea because that's going to again be more cohesiveness amongst Northeast. We keep on saying we are Northeast and a lot of differences are there. This itself will be a very unifying factor. And entire Northeast, there's so many commonalities. And so when we are promoting tourism and we are creating tourist circuits, etc., so it could be that, there could be even things, and every state is empowered to look at how they are going to handle ILP. So they could even say that, these are some of the tourist circuit, let's have a strategy as to how we are going to help them.
Absolutely. Isandra Sabapandit, same question goes to you. What about people from the Northeast? Or will the argument come that if there are illegal migrants in Assam, they will also get a free run in the entire Northeast, so it is not feasible? Do you think it is feasible or do you think it is not?
It is not feasible. I'll give you a logic why.
Yeah.
First of all, ILP was started by the Britishers. And it with a total different
Bengal
objective.
Eastern Frontier
Yes,
regulations.
absolutely. With a total different objective. And here, ILP cannot be an alternate of CAA.
It's not an antidote to CAA.
Yeah, absolutely. It cannot be. We got to find out a way where our indigenous people, the historical heritage are taken care of, are not disturbed, and there are hundreds of ways. And ILP is not the alternate because it will hamper the dignity and pride of the northeastern region as a whole. Industry will suffer to the maximum. The people, the belongingness within the northeastern states will go haywire. I'll give you a small example. Suppose there is an ambulance emergency happening in some border of Meghalaya. A patient is traveling to Guwahati because it happens to be the hub of northeastern states. How will he travel? He's lost.
So these are some of the issues.
And for Indians, we should address the issues of Bangladeshis or the bordering countries entering here. I agree with Mr. Joshi. We shouldn't be mingling with the own Indian people. Because
we should not be restricting the people from within the country.
And we should also understand from the investment point of view, there are around another 50,000 investment yet to come to Northeast, which is on the way.
50,000 crores.
And with this sort of issues and concerns, where we are working on an alternative where the alternative was thought of maybe 70 years back and with a different objective altogether. So I think we need to think something differently where suppose one more example is suppose what do we do about the people who are doing business here since maybe from the last 70, 80 years. I'm talking about the Nepali people, the Marwari community people, the Bengali people. Can you wipe out Fancy Bazaar?
Okay,
No.
let me ask this question to Khuraizam Athoba. Khuraizam, what about those people? What about those people who are not from Manipur, who are not Manipuris, but have been conducting trade and business in Manipur for generations? So what about those people? How will the ILP, just trying to understand, how will the ILP impact such people or will it not impact them at all?
See, the only issue for them is that we will be regulating them. We will be registering them, we will be identifying them. That's all. And they will be, they will have that liberty that they have been exercising in doing their business. There isn't any restriction in their business as well. What we are trying to do is, see, Wasbir, let me just put it this way. It is very much like, it is a temporary provision. ILP is a temporary provision. Nobody says that this will be permanent. Of course, we do understand that without exchanging of ideas, informations, resources, we cannot be developed. Everyone understands that. But right now, the majority population, indigenous population of the region are yet to be equipped, yet to be educated. We have very less skilled people. We have very less human capital resources. what do you say, to handle the development, the globalization impact. We are not yet, equipped enough to handle that. So for time being, until and unless we come up to a certain level that we can face the entire world, at that time we can open to the world. But for now, it is very much like the, provision of scheduled tribes and scheduled castes, in order to uplift, the social status, the economic status.
Okay, but
very much like
yes,
that.
Joseph, you want to say something? Yeah, Mr.
See,
Joseph.
while respecting your views, like in Manipur, see the people of Manipur, they are so talented. You just mentioned that they are not that way. I totally disagree with you. I met a girl from Manipur in Medanta Hospital, and
I am
she
a
has
Manipuri,
been
sir.
managing it.
Sir,
See,
I am a Manipuri.
no, she has been managing so nicely. You just can't doubt her capabilities, capacities, etc. See that they are not getting the opportunity locally until unless you have the free investment in our states. We regulate them. You regulate land. You regulate employment. See, the another cornerstone problem of the region is the unemployment. Until unless we have the development, how will you address the unemployment? I fully respect the local sentiment. We need not give them the unauthorized sort of thing. But let us consider this
So
matter
the point which Mr. R.S. Joshi is making is that, unless and until the big industries come to the northeastern region, you cannot only depend on state government jobs, and ultimately it will create jobs, and it will be the local people only who are going to get the jobs. That is what is the basic argument, Mr. Joshi. Yes, Ripan, I want to say something.
Then you create the job and get the job. They go to create their own job and get their own job.
I'm slightly cynical about big investments coming in, because let us look at the job creation in the recent past and in terms of investment which has come in and the jobs which have been created. Jobs are created by the micro and the small sector, and that doesn't get affected when we are looking at ILP provisions, because we basically need to buy peace at the moment. We've lost peace for a long time. We want peace at the moment, and development starts happening when there is peace. So, we cannot, because...
Is ILP a peace tool? Is ILP being used as a tool for peacemaking?
Yes, I feel that
so?
right now, yes, because the environment was just happening, was starting to develop.
So Isantar, do you think Manipur got the ILP because they wanted to, have peace there? Because
Peace
the
and
people
development,
were
development and peace both.
against the CA?
Development
Is
and
it?
peace.
I'm coming to you,
It is,
Kuraisam.
look, it is something very simple. We all know.
It's not a matter of bringing peace. Bringing peace, for peace, it's a law and order situation. It's a different case. For ILP, it's about the demographic threat, the influx, demographic influx and demographic threat that we have. So
that threat is there with Gujarat also. That threat is there with Rajasthan also. They are also having very rowdy international borders. They cannot afford to have ILPs. Come on, every state cannot afford to have the ILPs in their own states. So ILP cannot be the solution for this sort of a concern or a issue. It cannot be an alternative.
ILP cannot be the solution. Okay, we'll come back to this very engaging debate. I'll go for a short break. Viewers, don't go away. I'll be right back after this very short break. Welcome back. Kuraisam Athoba, basically a lot of people, a section of people might say, a section of people who are trying to understand the northeastern region, a section of people from outside, they might say, oh, the people in the northeast are so xenophobic, they don't want outsiders to come, they want protection, fine, but why inner line permit? No, people from northeast are free to go anywhere they want, but they don't want outsiders to come. How do you counter this argument?
No, actually, Wasbir, when we look at the regional perspective, we are inferior. We are much inferior comparing to the mainland, you know, Indian cities and societies, Indian states. So I think
inferior
that argument
economically.
don't have any valid.
Inferior economically.
Not just economically.
Sir, you are
Economically and even,
superior.
you know,
you are superior like our counterparts elsewhere. Don't let us get over this stigma of backward or inferior. We are as superior as anybody else in this country, and rather more superior than our
the government of
counterparts
India,
in the country.
First of all, no. First of all, if we have to, if the northeastern region has to be open to the entire country, you know, without any regulations or without any particular restrictions, then the government of India has to frame certain policies. How are they going to, you know, how are they going to protect, how are they going to give the protection to us for our culture, for our languages, for our way of life, for our existence? How are they going to do that? They should come out with certain provisions. We northeastern region has to come together. You know, our populations are very limited. We are micro minorities. We are not even minorities. We are micro minorities, and we have our own distinct culture, distinct features. Our culture doesn't have any affinities with the mainland people. So, you know, there are certain issues. So when we have to open to the mainland India, we have to be first try to balance ourselves with the economical and political perspective.
Right, I'll come to you. Sriparna Barua, you know, perception. This question which I asked to Khuraiza Mathoba, you see, there is a feeling, people who do not know the Northeast well, do not know the dynamics, do not know the population pattern, do not know the demographic issues here, they think that this could be, they consider that, you know, the groups and organizations or the people here are extremely xenophobic. Now question, this is a perception. Now perception also impacts trade and business. You know, an investor from outside, he goes by perception. Does he go by perception or not? Because perception can have a serious impact on people's decision making.
That's a fact. Perception does have, but then it is then again a role of the trade bodies and the government. How friendly is the government? If there are opportunities, people are going to come. There are resources, people are going to come. If the investment policies are friendly, people are going to come. So then the perception takes a back seat. So it has to be a balance of everything, how you are selling your state. Look at Arunachal, the way Arunachal is being sold, the way people are coming to Arunachal, and ILP has been there for so many years now.
Who is coming to Arunachal? It's only the hydro power lobby.
But then the tourism is making a fantastic, you know, it was never thought about.
But again, that is despite the inner line regulations.
That is despite the inner line regulation.
Okay.
Right, that's what I'm trying to say. Inner line, you know, people have started knowing Northeast now. There's an eagerness to come to Northeast. And Northeast is so much like Southeast Asia. And these indigenous tribes are our selling points. So it is basically, economy would be to a large extent be through various tourism things like textile. Textile tourism is one sector. Why are we forgetting that? Why are we only looking at, yes, big investments would be there. Government is there to facilitate big investment. Industry houses are there. But when there is a micro enterprise happening, when there is a lot of business happening.
So I think this is a very interesting point you are making, Sriparna. You are saying that, you know, we should not wait for eternity for big businessmen for big business to be open shop here. Even the micro, and you are talking about the textile tourism, you are talking about so many interesting things. Micro level can change the economic profile of the region. That's what you are saying.
And the experiential tourism. People are coming to experience. And I'm aware of so many small and, you know, these adventure tourism things coming up. And you're opening up everywhere to the remotest places people are coming because they're feeling comfortable in spite of ILP. Because now people have realized that Northeast is a destination. Everyone is eager to come to Northeast. So that has been already said.
My views are slightly different because when we need to be at par with the mainland India or any competition, we need to travel very fast. We were slowed down in between. Maybe in the last 10 years, we have taken a pace. and in between we are slow down. So now we need to travel very fast. So now the thing is maximum.
If you have heard, I'll once again come back to you. Now, Ishantar, if you have heard what Khuraisam Atoba said, there are 3-4 different types of inner line permits which are being issued. Right. Some permits are being issued for 3 to 4 months, some permits are being issued for maybe 6 months.
Right.
So somebody can have that kind of a permit if you are a frequent traveler, if you are a serious businessman, if you are seriously interested, you can take a permit and come as many times as go.
Again, I will go back to 32/99 and 33/99. There were 100% excise exemption was given to corporates, but still they were not interested in coming, and it tunes to around 6,000 crores. People were not interested in setting up industry because of the mindset, because of these issues like yes, tomorrow a different issue will pop up. Like the issue of ILP, which is not there earlier.
You were saying that the perception about the Northeast being a difficult place.
Yeah, it's not. We need to steadily, like last month there was a destination notice by the Northeastern Council, where ICC, Indian Chamber of Commerce, was also here. I spoke to certain people, like people to the capacity of a professor. He said to me, "Ki Shantar, is Meghalaya somewhere nearer to Guwahati?"
No, I think today there can be that again, to take your point, that kind of people will be very minuscule. Yes, Athoba, you are I'm coming to you, Mr. Joshi. Yes, Khuraisam, you wanted to say something.
We are just thinking like ILP is going to hinder everything. It's going to give certain this thing restriction to the visitors, the businessmen, and many other things. But even for tourists as well. But actually, the fact is we have been kept under the provision of protected area permit for last 50 years. Wasbir.
Yeah.
And it has been lifted just 2-3 years back. So we have been deprived and kept in isolation for 50 years.
Okay.
And because of that is the main reason why we lagged behind. And it has just opened in recently. And the communication has been improved only in 2-3 years. It's not even 5 years now. It has just been improved. So we need some time to equip ourselves, to prepare ourselves to face the entire world. So at that time, Manipur can be open to the entire world, no issue. But for now, we need some time, something to regulate ourselves.
Are you saying? That's a very interesting comment you are making, Khuraisam Athoba. Are you saying that this is the point which Shripana Barua made some time back? It was not well developed. But are you saying, Khuraisam Athoba, that when Manipur everything is set, when Manipur is ready, there could be a time in the future, we don't know when the inner line permit could even be removed?
Right.
Are you saying that?
Yeah, obviously.
Look.
Okay, that's a very interesting point. I'll come to you. R.S. Joshi, you wanted to make a point.
See, regarding perception, let me tell you very, very confidently, the perception has gone a sea change. Now the people of Northeast are respected throughout the country, and credit goes to our youngsters. Be it IT, be it in scientific research, be it media, print media, electronic media, everywhere, even the service sector, hospitality, everywhere they have proven themselves. So the perception that used to be barrier at some point of time is no more an issue now. Credit goes to them.
No more an issue.
No more. Okay. Another thing I would, from the trade and industry, particularly from the industry, let me tell you, we are vehemently opposing the CAB in its present form. But these are two separate issues.
Yes.
ILP, there is a psychological difficulties.
Absolutely. Coming back to the point which Khuraisam was making, okay, let Manipur reach a certain level, let us fix our things, infrastructure and other things, and then why not? ILP can be removed. What do you think, Sriparna Barua?
I also completely agree with that. And the other question, again, I'm coming to that micro enterprise creation. How much, ILP issue has come in now. For the last 10 years, we've been talking about investments coming in. How much investments have come in? How much job has been created? How much development has taken place? Because of various investments have come in. So that's another question. Whatever job has been created has been primarily in the micro sector. So, and the micro sector to develop doesn't require, it's basically the inner line permit will not so much impact. And that's already starting to happen. If you look at Manipur, you look at Assam, you can look at Arunachal, all these, youngsters are coming back, coming to their state, looking at business opportunities. So, business is actually happening. So we need to, why I'm talking about peace again and again is, because we don't want these people to go back. We want them to create an impact. So that's...
yeah.
One point, see, like our gentleman from Manipur mentioned, ki 1 month permit or 2 months permit. See, for manufacturing unit, we need a longer period of stay.
Okay.
And at that point, and we should not be encouraging trade, and we should not be comparing trade with the industry. Let there be a genuine value addition in this part of country.
I think that is interesting. Don't compare trade with industry. These are two different things. Industry requires a long-term planning, long-term investment, long-term stay. That's what R.S. Joshi was saying. Yes, Ishantar, you were trying to make a point there. But it's a very interesting point that, it's not that, it should be a permanent thing, ILP. Like it has been for ages in Manipur, in Nagaland, in Arunachal. Arunachal is a different ball game, of course, considering the sensitiveness of the place. But what is the great sensitivity in some other states? We really don't know whether that justifies a prolonged use of the inner line permit. As Khuraizam said, it can be removed. He is not surprised at that.
And first of all, it shouldn't be, ILP shouldn't be, at least for Northeast, at least for Assam, I must say, because if Assam is influenced with ILP, then there will be many related issues which will be maybe erupted or will start up. But here the thing is, if you really want to work for CAA or here, because CAA issue was completely different, it was with the Bangladeshis or the foreigners. So now let's concentrate on the Bangladesh bordering issues. Let's try to give some, demarcation or make some borders. Our agitation should go towards making the borders, not fighting with our own Indian people. Our Indian fraternity should be a threat among ourselves, and so what the change we can do.
Seal the border, not in letter and spirit. Actually, use technology,
and
use manpower,
and we should fight for that. We should fight for Manipur, Tamil More border. We should fight for Bangladesh, maybe Karimganj border, and we should pressurize government of India to border that, to seal that. And in spite of doing that, we are working on I was aware concept of 50 years, 70 years are outdated. Non-scientific concept of ILP is applicable here. We cannot do that. And
Athoba, outdated ILP being used now in the 21st century.
That's a very wrong misinformation spreading. That's a very wrong misinformation. See, even though the BEFR regulation is introduced in 1973. It has been amended from time to time. The current Mizoram ILP system has been amended 7-8 times. Nagaland too amended 7-8 times. And even for Manipur, when we introduced the new guidelines, we have already, put on certain provisions according to the local requirements. So please don't say that it is an outdated. Law has to be evolved. Law evolved with the society. Don't think that law is a permanent.
Okay, that is a technical point. That is a technical point, but the point which Ishantar actually made is that, stop illegal migration from across the border. Don't restrict the movement of people from within the country.
No. See, Wasbir, our problem, the problem of Manipur, we have been telling this, the problem of Manipur is, I don't know about Assam, but the problem of Manipur is not just illegal immigrants from neighboring countries. Our problem is also for interstate migrants from the, huge number, overwhelming number of interstate migrants from mainland India, who have come here for various, economic, purposes. So all those things, we have been overwhelmed by the influx migrants. So that needs to be regulated. We cannot simply, accommodate each and everyone coming into Manipur. Even Maharashtra also.
But why are they coming to Manipur? Can you tell me why are they coming to Manipur? Where is the gap? What is the vacuum?
They are coming. That is what I am telling you. We are yet to be equipped.
Are there?
My
question to you: Khuraiza Mathoba, I've got a very simple question. Is there so much jobs in Manipur that people from mainland India are flocking to Manipur to earn a living?
Yes, we have a very limited skill labor. You know, we have a very limited skill labor and semi-skilled labor, and because of that, the demand is very high. And you know, to meet that
so
demand,
they are coming because there is a demand. Why don't you? Then why does the Manipur government not come up with local resources? Why is there no training? What is the government doing all these years?
That will develop with due course of time. That will develop because we
already
have been
70
kept in
years.
isolation for
This
so
is
long.
70 years after independence.
Manipur,
70 years after. How much time do you need?
That's what I'm telling you. Manipur,
how much time do you need?
Manipur being
70 years already after independence.
No.
Now.
I'm telling you this. That's why I'm telling. After 70 years of independence, Manipur, the per capita income of Manipur is just 40,000. Can you believe that? The average per capita income of India is 1 lakh, above 1 lakh.
Can you blame
Manipur
the union government? Are you going to blame the central government for that, or are you going to blame the own leaders?
Obviously. No. It is the deprivation of the union government. It is the deprivation that we have been, kept in isolation for so long.
So you have given a clean sheet to all the Manipur governments in the last so many years. Clean sheet from Khuraiza Mathoba to all the Manipur governments, including the present government.
No. Let's see. State government perform as per the policy of the union government.
There should be
coordination. If the union government don't support us,
I'm sorry to say, that means your state governments have been manned by people who are absolutely spineless in the last so many decades. Are they spineless people? All your chief ministers, have they been spineless?
See, Wasbir, even if I became the chief minister of Manipur, we won't be able to do anything because we have a very limited resources. And without resources, how are we going to develop? How are we going to improve? And that we need ultimately we need support from the union government, and that has been deprived for so long.
So now, Mr. Joshi, now the central government will say that okay, we have given you the ILP. Now you should be happy.
See, it's not
the community is protected.
It's not the solution. We need
Now what will be your answer? Suppose the state government says we have given you the ILP. The local community is absolutely protected. Now you make your own arrangements. We are giving you the annual budget.
This will not be a good thing to happen. This will not be. See, technology can play a very important role, as you mentioned. We can address all these bad things about the ILP or the CAB or everything suffering the region for beach. But these are not the money. See, we should not go for knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah.
No knee-jerk reaction. Shiparna, no knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah, we should not go for a knee-jerk reaction. Maybe ILP, yes, we can think about a common ILP for a limited period of time, solve issues which are important, because ILP ultimately is not a solution that all the time we are going to have an ILP and that we are going to protect forever. That's definitely not a solution. But keeping the current situation in mind, can we have a limited period, solve problems, and then have a strategy as to how we are going to go about it.
Okay, now Isanta Sabha Pandit, is limited ILP feasible? Because we have seen, take the case of Arunachal Pradesh, take the case of Mizoram, take the case of Nagaland. ILP has been there for several decades now.
Look, it cannot be maybe Arunachal Pradesh or Mizoram. These states has implemented ILP since using ILP since so long. But look at their development. If you talk about tourism also, there is a max potential utilization survey in Arunachal Pradesh, which is only 4% in terms of tourism.
Yeah.
We cannot think that maximum capacity is suppose if it's 100%, only 4% of the capacity is being used in terms of tourism.
Right. Khuraiza Mathoba has made a very interesting point. He has made a very pragmatic point, I would say, that he said that let the infrastructure and everything be developed, and he has an open mind. He said that the ILP can actually disappear, can be removed, withdrawn from Manipur when the time comes. We of course don't know when the time will come, but he doesn't think it is surprising. Athoba, your final comments.
Well, see, we do understand that development cannot be, brought in isolation. We do understand that. We have to exchange ideas, informations, and resources with the entire world. That is important. But having said that, for now, for time being, Manipur has just opened up. Manipur has just, opened up even to the mainland India.
Opened
Just
up or closed down? Opened up or closed down? Just closed down.
It's opening up. It's opening up. We
How?
are being, the
Inner
people
line,
are,
you
the,
see,
the,
think.
the younger generations.
How do you see, Manipur
no,
has just
the
got the
younger
ILP,
generations was
just
there.
closed itself down. Don't you think so?
See, no. Don't take ILP in a negative perspective.
Okay.
Don't take ILP in a negative perspective.
Okay.
It is just the temporary measures. It is just to, regulate the visitors.
Okay.
It is just to regulate, to register them, to identify them. Otherwise, we don't know who are coming inside, who are going outside.
Exactly.
So in order to understand that, we have been doing that. And we also want to protect our land and resources.
Absolutely.
For the indigenous people.
I give you that.
It is just for that.
I give you that.
So the
President
younger
Obama.
generations.
Absolutely. I give you that. I concede that. I give you that. And now, R.S. Joshi, your concluding remarks.
See, we should be proud of our people. If somewhere ethics make a sense, it is the Northeast. Still, ethics make sense here, not like other parts of our country. Let us be proud of our people. Let us open up. Let us give them the opportunity to show them. And the effective leadership is what we need.
Effective leadership is what we need. Chipper number one, your last
The
word.
ecosystem was just happening, starting to happen, entire Northeast. We should not put a stop to it. ILP can be a temporary solution, and we need to come up with a proper strategy.
Proper strategy. Shantar, last words.
Yeah, we should respect the industries, their sentiment, their values, keeping in mind our traditional values, our heritage, our maybe emotional sentiments, whatever is attached with it. I belong to this place, so I personally respect the feeling of the Northeastern people, but it doesn't mean that we work something, we do something which will affect in the long run, it will really affect the
People only.
People.
Absolutely. Absolutely. These are very, very sensitive issues. We need a balanced approach to trade and development as well as protecting the interest of the indigenous people and others who live our beautiful region of the Northeast. On that note, I thank all my panelists for participating in this engaging discussion and the viewers for watching this edition of Northeast Tonight. Good night and goodbye.
Northeast Tonight, brought to you by Oil India Limited, conquering newer horizons.